What's up guys, it's Rogue2 here and welcome to another amazing video on the channel. So for today, I have the answer to everyone's prayers. We got the budget deck of the format, the anti-meta deck of the format, the anti-Furwalos deck of the format, you name it, this deck can maybe fit into it. Of course, I'm talking about the updated Monarch deck profile. There will be a lot of new viewers out here because you guys seem to always destroy the likes and get tons and tons of views. I'm talking in the thousands every time Monarchs are on screen. So if you are new around here, make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. It is free, I guarantee you. Heard that if you hit it right now, you will always draw Pantheism of the Monarchs in your opening hand. That's what I've heard. But you know, needless to say, make sure that you do show your support if you enjoy these videos. This is a deck that I've been working on for I don't know how long now. This has just been a build that I've adapted every couple of months, as you can see in the history of my uploads on this channel. We are basically at a great spot, I'd say. This is a deck that I think now is as consistent as can be. This is Monarchs we're talking about, so there still will be bricks. And there is a lot of anti-meta picks. We do play the Book of Moons. We still play the sort of the Morganite package now as well. We play a bunch of things that you guys are going to see. And we've hit, I think, a pretty good ratio between tributes and extenders. So I've blabbered on long enough. Let's get straight to the deck profile. It is, of course, 40 cards because we need to be as consistent as possible. I'll see you now. So, starting off with the main deck, we of course have 40 cards, as I mentioned in the intro. We're going to start off with the Tribute Summons. Triple Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. I think this guy is a lot better than Ether. I've been saying this for a while, but especially now in this format when we have the new Mulcharmys Furwalos, why we're going to give them a draw when instead we can hand rip them for another card after they've sent their Furwalos and drawn nothing. So this is almost a hand rip for two now in that kind of sense, which is crazy. It also allows us to basically extend by sending the Trap and another Pantheism to the graveyard, and we can continue extending, grab our field spell, and essentially lock our opponent out of the game, which is absolutely fantastic. If this card is in the graveyard, in a quick effect, you can discard a Monarch spell trap, target one monster in your graveyard with 2,400 or more attack and 1,000 defense, can do any Monarch, and it includes himself, and you can add it to the hand. So, amazing card, fantastic, can't praise it highly enough. Speaking of Ether, we do play Ether. I've only played two. You don't need three, because one Ether can summon another Ether from the deck. Yes, you are going to give your opponent a draw in that case, if they have Furwalos, but if they haven't, go for the Ether line, send two, summon Ether, bounce Ether, search the Monarch Stormforth, and now during your opponent's turn, you're going to have a tribute summon of an Ether, and then you're going to be able to summon your Erebus and bounce Erebus to your hand, and you have Erebus as follow-up, which is pretty cool. And that's essentially what he does. During your opponent's main phase, you can banish one Monarch spell trap from your grave, and immediately normal summon, well, tribute summon in this case, and you know, this is a quick effect, so pretty cool. For our Pseudo-monarchs, we have double Vanity's Fiend card is a blowout if you get to actually just get this on the field. Neither player can special summon monsters. Furwalos, oh no, go into Vanity's Fiend, you know, you've hand looped yourself for one, and now you can't special, which is really nice. Same can be said for the Majesty's Fiend. I only play one because this card is searchable, actually, believe it or not, since it has the Monarch stats. Unlike Vanities, if they gave it 200 less defense, we could search Vanities, but we're going to have to stick by searching Majesties. It's still very good, though. Monster effects just cannot be activated, so just as good. This in combination with the field spell, they cannot special from the extra, and they are also just cannot activate monster effects. That's pretty brutal, I'm not going to lie. For our little, you know, Squires and Vassals, I've actually have a new addition to the deck, Double Mithra. Someone actually commented in my last Monarch deck profile, yo, why don't you play Mithra? And I actually gave Mithra a second read, and I'm like, you know what? Mithra is actually pretty insane. So I added two of her in. What does she do? Well, if she's in your hand, you can basically special summon her to the field and give your opponent a token. This is important because while they control the token, they cannot Lightning Storm you. Their evenly matched is nowhere near as good, and they also cannot impermanence you as well. So that is pretty important. And also, if this card is tributed, you gain the ability to have an additional tribute summon as well, which is crazy. Just keep in mind that if you do use this effect, you cannot Antrim Fright, as you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. So make sure you use your Antrim Fright first, and then use your Mithra. For your Squires, they are now down to 1. Some people play 3 of each. I cannot see a world in which I do that when hand traps are very prominent. We have 1 Idea and 1 Eidos. Idea is also bad into forward loss as well, so let's not optimize in playing many Ideas. What does it do? Well, your normal idea, special Eidos. Eidos gives you another normal. You now have 2 materials, and you can now tribute summon. That's effectively what they do. When idea hits the graveyard, you can add a banished monarch spell or trap, usually your pantheisms, and Eidos, you can banish him in the grave to special summon your idea back from the graveyard. But since you only play 1, it's just going to be a body for 1. You won't be able to actually use its effect again. But that's okay, because full loss is a thing, and we don't want to be giving our opponent any draws if possible. For more extenders, triple Kashtira Fenrir cards, probably the best extender we have. Not only is it an extender, but also if we leave it on the field, it's also a disruption as well. Again, doesn't play into forward loss, so we are good. Plays into the other Mulcharmys, which I believe is Perulia. Most people have dropped that now to the side and are now playing the forward loss. So in games 2 and 3, you can expect they will be doing a switch. Perulia will be in the main and forward loss will be in the side, but then we would have to decide knowing that as well. So just keep that in mind. It's a mind game. And Fenrir can search Fenrir, or Fenrir can search Rise Heart, which is again another free extender. Locks you out of the extra deck for only Xyz monsters. Oh no. Anyways, we don't special from the extra deck at all, which is amazing, because that means full loss does nothing. And basically specials itself and can be just used as an immediate tribute summon. We have triple Untramfright. This card does play into full loss, sadly, because it will place itself in the extra and then special summon itself. However, this card is just too good to not play in Monarchs. We haven't got, the biggest array of extenders that also draw your card. If we get sort of a new card that draws us a card and extends, we can drop Antrim Fright to have a better full loss matchup. But until then, we need to play triple Antrim Fright because it's just very good. Place it in the scale, draw a card, special itself, and then it banishes itself when it leaves the field, so it doesn't even go back into the extra. That's just custom Monarch card right there. So that's it for the monsters. There's quite a few of them. Now there's a ton of spells. Triple Domain of the True Monarchs. This is your win con in the deck. This is why I call it Domain Monarchs, because while this is in the field zone and you control a tribute summon monster, your opponent cannot special summon any cards from the extra deck, which is pretty insane. It also has 2 other amazing effects, being able to reduce the cost of one of your tribute summons by 1, and that is in a hard once per turn. So if you have multiple, you can just do it again. And also during the battle phase, or during damage calculation, you can increase the attack of one of your big monarchs by 800, which is pretty important because it allows us to get over that 3k barrier that some big boss monsters seem to be at. We have triple of the Monarch Stormforth cards, incredible with Ether. Basically allows you to just tribute summon one monster opponent controls as if you controlled it. This doesn't target, and it's absolutely incredible. Just affects the monster on tribute summons. Unaffected monsters cannot be outed by this, just remember that. But there's not many unaffected monsters this format anyway, so it's really, really good. And a quick play as well. Incredible. We have triple Pantheism of the Monarchs, the best draw spell I have ever seen in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I stand by that every time I do a deck profile. What does it do? Well, you send a Monarch spell or trap from your hand to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. That is in once per turn. If you open 3, you can do it 3 times. You can banish this card from your graveyard, reveal 3 Monarch spell traps from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1 to add to your hand, and the rest gets shuffled into the deck. You may be thinking, yo, that's pretty bad. You can pick 3 of the same card, guys, so you effectively just get a free add from the deck as well. That is, sadly, a hard once per turn, but this card is a 3 of and is absolutely insane. Incredible. For consistency, triple Tenacity of the Monarchs. We need to be maxing out on this because this allows us to grab other spells and traps. What I think Monarchs is missing is a spell and trap that can just immediately search for a Monarch. If we got that, I think the deck would have a lot of its problems fixed, but sadly we don't. Once we have a tribute summon monster, we can search for spells, but there's no way of revealing spells and searching for monsters. That would be really nice. But anyway, triple Tenacity. What does it do? Reveal a monster with 2400 or 2800 attack and 1000 defense, so Monarch stats, and a Monarch spell trap from your deck to your hand. And this is a hard once per turn, but you can add anything, which is pretty nice. We have 1 Return of the Monarchs, sort of acting as our pseudo-rota. In the traditional builds, this card isn't very good, but in this build, since we can get multiple normal summons off our vassals, off our squires, and off another card that I will be mentioning shortly, it's okay because we tribute summon, use effect, search our either our Majesty's Fiend or a different monarch, and then we have an additional normal anyway from other cards, and we can normal it again. not too bad. I'd much rather just prefer have a card that on activation searches for a tribute summon monster. That would be a lot better, and we could drop this. But until then, we have to play this. I play one March of the Monarchs as well. Just makes your Monarchs very, very sticky, very difficult to out, and as long as you have your Monarchs there, they're under the lock. So that's what's important. This is why we play March of the Monarchs. Your opponent cannot target or destroy your Monarchs by card effects, which is really nice. We play one of the Prime Monarch. This card's cracked. It's insane. It's incredible. Even its trap continuous effect is really nice. You target 2 Monarch spell traps in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and draw a card. So it allows you to get that recursion. But its monster effect is the main reason that we're playing this card. If it's in the grave, you can banish 1 other Monarch spell trap in your graveyard. Treasure summon this card in defense. And it has 2,400 defense, which is incredible. And this card is not treated as a trap card while it's on the field. So really cool. Allows you to just get free body every single turn. Amazing. For the flex spots, I play the double Book of Moon. I just think this card is incredible, especially in a heavy hand trap format like we're looking to be in right now. You can full loss, but then they'll have either Veilers, Imperms, or whatever, because they're good to draw off the full loss. Book of Moon is a way of pseudo Call by the Grave in a way, but is also useful going second as well. So that is why I play the Book of Moon. So what are the interaction I'm on about? I always give this interaction. Normal one of your Idea Squire, and then let's say they imperm it, let's say they Veiler it. You can chain your Book of Moon, flip it down, resolve the effect, and then the Book and Veiler misses the target because now the card is face down, and then you can just tribute it off later, which is nice. If they threaten one of your Monarchs, what you can do is you can chain the Book of Moon, flip it face down. The field spell still counts as being tribute summoned, and they'll still be under the lock, but you can dodge lots of cards that way, which is really, really nice. Also, going second is just a nice way to trade for a 1-for-1. If they have an Omni Negate, Book of Moon basically forces them to use it or lose it, which is nice. We have 1 Pot of Desires. I know this card's at 3. I only play 1 because you only need the 1. I'm tired of going Desires and drawing Desires. This way, there's no possible way of drawing more Desires, and it's just a draw 2. Make sure you do cycle your deck, though. Make sure that if you do activate this, it's towards the end of your combos, because if not, you can mess up a lot of lines this way. We play the Morganite package. Finally, the card has arrived. We have 1 Time Tearing and 1 Succumbing Song Morganite. Cards are incredible. One of the main reasons I play this deck is because I find these cards so cool, and I really just want to play them, and I can play them in my Monarchs, which is cool. So both of them have the same first sort of criteria, which is for the rest of the duel, apply the following effects. This is when you activate them. You cannot activate monster effects in the hand, and that's the same for both. So meaning, if you use this card, you cannot use your Ether, but that is a risk you are willing to take because these cards are incredible. What Succumbing Song Morganite does is, monsters you control can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, and if a monster battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage is doubled, which not only allows you to OTK more effectively, but also just gives you a lot of pressure in the battle phase. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Morganite card from your deck to your hand, and then place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. This is actually useful, especially if we draw that trap. We want it in the deck instead of in our hand. And Morganite, again, cannot activate monster effects in the hand. Draw 2 cards instead of 1 for your normal draw, and you can conduct 2 normal summons or sets per turn, not just 1. So these apply for the rest of that duel, which is incredible. So insane. Absolutely insane. We're never going to get the second Time Tearing Morganite effect, which is you can discard 1 other Time Tearing and your opponent can activate monster effects on the normal summons, which is sad, but we only need 1 of each. And for the 40th card, 1 Foolish Burial Goods. This card has multiple sort of uses. You can send your Pantheisms, you can send your Trap, but most importantly, you can send your Succumbing Song Morganite and then search for your Time Tearing, which is why we play it. That is the 40 card main deck. There is no extra deck. And side deck, I always say, is up to preference. Some ideas for the side deck is your Mulcharmys Thrower Loss. That card's incredible. You can play it yourself. You'd obviously have to side out the Morganite package, but that card is just a really good blowout and allows you to play going second because you just have so many cards and you can pick what you want in your hand. I'd also play the Simorgh because during back row matchups, you just summon Simorgh and they can't set cards, which is broken against stuff like Labyrinth. And I'd also play board breakers like Dark Ruler, stuff like Evenly, stuff that can even out the playing field. So I thank you all for watching at my almost monthly update on Monarchs at this point. But you guys seem to love the content. If you are new around here, make sure you do subscribe. It does mean a lot. We are on the road to 4K by the end of 2024. I'm Rokta here, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Let's go.